Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, we got an updated look at the Bears' salary cap outlook now that Caleb Williams and Odunze have inked their rookie contracts. And Brandon Aiyuk requested a trade on Tuesday. The Bears aren't going to trade for him, but how could that impact Chicago and potentially the NFC? If you were to get dealt, I want to dive into that a little bit as well. My name is Harrison Graham. It is Chicago Bears Now. Let's talk about the cap outlook first after Williams and Odunze did sign yesterday as rookies arrived to Hallis Hall as orientation began for training camp. Bears, according to Spotrac, have roughly $12.3 million in cap space, which, keep in mind, teams like to have at least $5 million or so at their disposal for the regular season, $5 to $7 million. So it's probably more like they have $6-7 million to play with, but they could create more space. We'll talk about how they can do that in a little bit. And obviously the big question is, will Ryan Poles add a player or two between now and the opening week? Because as we've discussed, the Bears still have some pretty clear needs. They could add another edge rusher. We've talked about some guys, Yannick Ngakoue, Emmanuel Ogbah, Carl Lawson still out there. Defensive tackle, not great options out there right now, so I think they'd probably wait out that market. If someone gets cut, perhaps they would add him from another team, but they could certainly add a piece there. And then I think interior offensive line, a Connor Williams, a depth guard, something like that could certainly be a place where they make an addition also. How could they create more cap space? Well, we've talked about Larry Borom. If you cut or trade him, that saves $3.1 million. Same thing with Travis Homer, 1.9, so that gets you to $5 million. If Velus Jones Jr. were to get cut or traded, which again, not so sure on any of these really, that's another 1.2. Those are like three notable ones. There's other guys that saves, $900,000, whatever. But those three guys save you 6.2. You're already at 12.3, so that gets you to 18.5. You can get close to $20 million in cap space with the understanding that, well, you want to have at least 5, 6, 7 million available for the regular season because injuries pop up if you make a trade, etc. So, 12.3 right now, probably cut that number in half is what you really have to work with. So you could probably sign one, maybe two impact players with that money. But if you cut a couple of these guys, like if Borom doesn't make this team, then yeah, that gives you a little bit more flexibility if you are Ryan Poles. Now, name a player that you think the Bears should sign or go out and trade for with their cap space, with their updated outlook here. Let me know in the comment section below who you would like to add to this football team, because coming up on a video soon, either later today or tomorrow, we're going to dive into some moves Ryan Poles could make either on the free agency or trade market with their updated cap situation. So keep an eye on that as we got that coming your way very, very soon. It's the reason you subscribe to the channel, because if the Bears make a move, we're going to make a video for you guys. Subscribe, turn on notifications. If it's a big enough move, we will go live and break it down and interact with all of you. So have that notification bell turned on so you know exactly when we do go live. And if you want to check out some of our recent content, I broke down Caleb Williams and Odunze signing their rookie deals in detail. You can check that out if you see that thumbnail. You're in the right place. Our training camp preview, 5 storylines to watch for. That video is under the content tab as well. We go live multiple times per week. Also, just a little bit of a teaser of what we do on this channel. If you're watching Chicago Bears Now for the first time, live Monday and Thursdays, and breaking news situations, also other videos on a daily basis as well. We got you covered on all of it here on Chicago Bears Now, so subscribe for free here on YouTube. All right, I do want to dive into this Brandon Aiyuk trade request. I probably would have hit on this on Tuesday, but there was the Caleb Rome stuff and Bears camp preview. There's just too much Bears-centric stuff going on. And since the Bears are probably at or near the bottom of the list of teams that would consider trading for Brandon Aiyuk, considering their wide receiver room, I was like, okay, I'll talk about this tomorrow. And here we are. I still think it is worth talking about because the 49ers are obviously a major contender. And as this thing continues to get contentious between Aiyuk and the Niners, you could have a domino effect of what this could mean in the course of the NFC. Now, Mike Garafolo had the report. Wanted to give him credit here. He says that despite a recent meeting, the Niners haven't been willing to engage in negotiations since the month of May. So that was over 2 months ago. So Aiyuk has, quote, respectively asked out Again, before you ask, Harrison, could we bring him in and have the craziest wide receiver room of all time? There's no chance. Like, they're not going to trade for him, pay him $30 million, and have Rome Odunze be their number 4 receiver. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to trade Rome Odunze to San Francisco to bring in Aiyuk and pay him big dollars. Like, it's not going to happen. But again, him requesting a trade absolutely impacts this team, especially if a trade were to go down. How, you may ask? Well, let's get into a few reasons. Number one, the 49ers are pretty clearly the favorites in the NFC right now. Some would argue Detroit, but I still think it's San Francisco. If they don't have Brandon Aiyuk, they take a hit. There's no question about it. Like, if you look at Brock Purdy's numbers last year, when Kittle, Debo, Aiyuk, and McCaffrey are healthy, he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. If just one of those guys was out, he kind of becomes an average player statistically. So if Aiyuk leaves, that's something they have to adjust to. Like, he's their best route runner. He's their most reliable receiver in terms of getting separation. So if he's out, that is a significant hit to their offense in the year of 2024, which means that could bring them back closer to the pack in terms of the pecking order in the NFC. How about head-to-head? You play them on the road in Week 14. I would rather play them if they don't have Brandon Aiyuk than if they do. So even if it's just a one-game impact in terms of direct impact, that could be significant. If the Bears are a fringe playoff team and found a way to steal a game in San Francisco, that obviously goes a long way in their chances. And hell, if they're a contender and can go win a game on the road against San Francisco, you got a better chance of doing that without Brandon Aiyuk than with Brandon Aiyuk. And by the way, in terms of the matchup of that game, if Aiyuk is there and healthy, that's a pretty, fun, even battle. You might even give the 49ers the edge with their volume of weapons with him, Kittle. You've got Debo, obviously, Jawan Jennings, a guy like McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. But again, with Aiyuk's route running technician ability, you take him out of the equation. I think I'd give the advantage to this Bears quarterback room with Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon. You could just use Jalen Johnson to eliminate Debo Samuel because Debo's not a good enough route runner to get away from Jalen, so he's taken out of the game for the most part. And then I think you take your chances, Tyreek Stevenson on Ricky Pearsall, Kyler Gordon on George Kittle, probably bracket a safety over the top, and there you go. I think that's advantage Chicago if Aiyuk's not there. So, not only in that one game, but in a potential playoff game. If Aiyuk's not in the fold, I think that changes the complexion of that matchup drastically. And then number 3, what if not only he gets traded, but he gets traded to AFC? Well, then you really don't have to worry about him at all. So not only do the NFC favorites take a hit, but the NFC as a whole gets weaker without Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not saying one really good receiver changes the entire dynamic of the NFC, but it's not insignificant whatsoever. So I think this conference really could open up if Brandon Aiyuk's not in the fold. I would still say San Francisco's the favorite or a top 2 favorite if Aiyuk's not there. But I would say right now they're up here, Detroit's here, and then, pick your poison for, out of 4, 5, 6 more teams. I think that gap between San Francisco and the rest of the NFC really lessens if Aiyuk's not there, because Brock Purdy, without someone who can consistently separate, unless Pearsall can do that as a rookie, I don't know. I'm not saying he can't play at a high level. We just haven't really seen him have to do that because he's had all these weapons, and when one of them's been hurt, the efficiency has declined. The numbers show that. So Aiyuk's obviously a great player, second-team All-Pro last year with his performance in that offense, and he wants big-time money. The Niners want to pay him, but not what he wants. So, back and forth we go, and the 49ers do have kind of a history here of playing hardball with these guys. Typically, they get the deal done, like Bosa signed late. I think Fred Warner was another one that was late in the process. So they've had a few of these before, but with the way they play offensive football, they were dead last in passing attempts, I think, the last couple of years. Like, are they going to pay Brandon Aiyuk, Amon-Ra St. Brown money? Like, he's not going to catch 100 balls with how they play football. So it would not shock me if this feud continues and eventually one of these sides is going to have to break, and they're going to have to make a decision there. So what do you guys think? If you want Brandon Aiyuk traded to the AFC, get him out of the NFC, type me. I'd love to see that. One less big-time weapon you got to worry about if you are Chicago. So I'm typing my me down in the comments below. All right, guys, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Again, we will have that video coming up soon about moves Ryan Poles can make with that updated cap number, so stay tuned for that. Of course, if there's any training camp updates, we'll get you up to date on that as well. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down, and we'll see you next time.